Hello, it's Mrs. Porter again. We are reading chapter 19, Emery, from This Is Not a Drill. It begins on page 171. Simon is snoring quietly. He's out. I give Rose a hug and slide her onto my chair. Alicia's breathing evenly, her small hand under her freckled cheek. I walk to the back of the room and get 3 Diet Cokes from Mrs. C's fridge. I put one in front of Jake and then take a deep breath, walk to the front, and hold one out to Stutz. He eyes me warily, reaches for the can. I pull up a chair beside him, not too close. Without speaking, I look back at the sleeping children. I feel Stutch watching me, and Jake watching us from the computer. My heart's racing. Maybe Jake's right and I'm making a mistake, but I have to try. Any kind of connection I can make with Stutz could make a difference for us if things fall apart here. We can't just sit and wait and see what happens. No matter how this goes, I have to know when it's all over that I did everything I could to help these kids and to help Stutz see us as people instead of targets. Stutz doesn't say anything, just looks back at the door. Then quietly, I almost don't hear him, he says, "How long do they rest?" It's a start. The schedule said 20 minutes. We're not usually here at this time of day. He glances up at the clock. I lean forward a little. Were there a lot of kids over there in Iraq? I ask. He doesn't answer at first, and then, yeah. Did you have much contact with them? He waits, like he's deciding whether or not to tell me to get lost, then says, "They ran beside our vehicles begging. For food? Candy, sometimes money. We had to stop giving them stuff because they'd run out in the road, and if you gave something to one kid, another one would beat him up for it." Were they hungry? Some of them. There were packs that ran together, dirty, barefoot. Where were their parents? He pauses. Some didn't have any, orphans of the war. The ones who did, I don't know. Sometimes schools were damaged in the bombing. I guess if the school was closed, the parents didn't have anything to do with the kids while they worked, so they just ran wild. Did they speak English? A rare half smile for the first time. I see how much he looks like Patrick. Things like "give me" and "USA." My buddy Tucker taught them some English. Is he back home, your buddy? Tucker, yeah, he's back. Do you talk to him? No, Tucker's not doing too great. What people don't understand is you can't ever go home. You pretend you can pick up where you left off, he says, but you're not the same person. He looks around the room. It'd be like you trying to go back to the elementary school again. You think you could fit in here if you tried hard enough. I glance over at the kids and I shake my head. War changes you, he says. You know things you didn't before, he frowns. It takes something from you that you never get back. One day you're picking pieces of brain matter off of your shirt from a guy who was sitting next to you, and a few weeks later, back at home, you're supposed to get all worked up over whether the city's going to fix the potholes on Jefferson Street. Everybody wants to talk to you about gas prices or who's going to win the football game. Who gives a crap, man? People are dying all over the world. He shakes his head in disgust. People see homeless veterans sleeping in the streets and they just turn away. They don't care what happens to you after you get back. They don't get it that you can't sleep in a bed, can't be part of a family, can't be part of a community. His eyes darken. You think you'll appreciate life when you get back, but the sad truth is you miss death, at least the fear of it. It's like you can't see what's good in the world around you without the constant reminder that you could lose it all. You come home and realize you've turned into an adrenaline junkie. You crave the high, you need the drama. Civilian life doesn't do it for you anymore. His words are coming faster now. You're surrounded by death every minute over there. You don't wait for death to come for you. You have to go out every day looking for it. I used to pray not to die. First few weeks I was over there, I'd picture my kid at my funeral and I'd pray I'd made it back home to watch him grow up. Then I'd have dreams that my legs were blown off and I'd pray I would die, if it meant not being a cripple for life. And then I saw a guy get burned up in a Humvee, and I started praying to die quickly if I had to go. A clean shot to the head. You get to where you don't know what to pray for. He looks me in the eyes. People don't know what really matters. It's the most I've heard him say, and the calmest he's been. Maybe it's a little peek into what he was like before. What really matters to you, I ask. My kid, my wife. His voice cracks a little on the word wife, and then he looks away. My country, in that order. How long have you been back? 8 months. He looks over at Patrick. While I was there, I couldn't think of anything else but being back with my family. The pictures Silda sent of Patrick were what kept me going. But then when I got home, I couldn't make it work. My heart races at the mention of Silda's name. You can't understand unless you've lived for months in the middle of people trying to kill you. You live in constant fear, always on your guard, because if you're not hyper aware, you're dead. He leans towards me, his breath reeking of alcohol. Not dead like in some freaking video game. Dead, dead. Turned to pink mist, they called it. Can't the army help you, I asked, to readjust to normal life? Normal, he grunts. What the heck is normal? Oh yeah, they help you get ready to go home all right. You know what the army calls reintegration? Some lame video they make you watch while everybody's dog tired and half asleep. It's a big joke. Yeah, people like you want to know all about it, but you don't really want to hear about the stench of gore, the smell of charred bodies on the streets, pieces of people. I don't know which is worse, looking at that crap when you first get there because the sick part of you wants to know what it looks like, or later when you don't look at it because you've seen it all before. Stuff that's so bad it can't be said out loud. Unspeakable, that's what it is. I shiver in the warm room. Listen, he looks in my eyes. I want to pull away from him, but I don't. Once you've pulled that trigger, once you watch a man die and you know you killed him, you're never the same. You can tell yourself he was going to kill you first. You can say over and over again that he was the enemy. But he's still a guy just fighting for what he believes in. Maybe a guy who's a lot like you, and his life is over. Done. His wife's got no husband. His kid's got no daddy. Why? Because you killed him. That's why. He lapses into silence. The room is quiet except for Mr. Worley's wheel creaking from the back of the room over the sound of Simon's soft snoring. You start seeing him, he finally continues, that guy you killed, and you wonder if his ghost can find you. Is he watching you while you brush your teeth, while you eat your breakfast? Is he waiting for a chance to take you out? Suddenly he looks over at Jake at the computer and barks, "Hey, you better be playing video games." Jake jumps in his sleep, or Patrick jumps in his sleep at the sound. Jake looks up and holds up both hands. Tetris, man. Come look. I'm just keeping busy over here, trying to stay out of your hair. Stutz stares hard at Jake for about 10 seconds. How long were you in Iraq? I asked, trying to get him to talk again, but the mood is broken. Look, I don't want to... And then, without warning, all heck breaks loose. A bright light flashes above the door, and the haphazardly loud buzzing sound fills the room. I look up in confusion as Stutz yells above the noise. What the heck's going on? What are they trying to pull? It's the fire alarm. The kids sit up and look around dazed. Several cover their ears with their hands. A couple of them stand up. They're conditioned to respond, and when they look for the teacher to find out what to do, they remember she's not here, and I don't have a clue. Stutz is freaking out. It's a trick. Nobody's leaving. Shut that thing off. Shut that thing off now, he's yelling above the horrible racket. It's okay, I yell. We're not leaving. Jake moves towards the kids, and I hurry back to help him reassure them. It's probably a false alarm, I shout above the din. Surely they'll shut it off, and then thankfully the noise stops. We're supposed to go outside, Alicia says. Wait a minute, listen. Jake shushes her, holding up a finger and cocking his head. In the sudden silence, we can hear an all-call intercom announcement from the hallway, even though our intercom box is blown to smithereens. We have to listen hard to decipher it. Teachers, please disregard the fire alarm. Do not leave your classrooms. This is a false alarm. We neglected to disable it for a once-a-month practice fire drill. Again, I repeat, do not leave your classrooms. Great. This is a drill. This is not a drill. If we weren't confused before, we certainly are now. We've got a crazy guy with an itchy trigger finger, and they can't remember to turn the fire alarm off. And these are the people I'm supposed to have confidence in to help us? I already felt like we were on our own here, and now I know we are. Stutz goes to the door and yells without putting his head out, "You people better keep that thing off. Don't pull another stunt like that with me." Suddenly there's an eerie noise from the back of the classroom. We all turn around at the sound. It's Simon wailing for all he's worth. The shock of waking up in such chaos has finally been the last straw, poor guy. He's crying pitiful, chest-heaving sobs, gulping and gasping for breath between cries. Jake bends down and puts his arms around Simon's shoulders, talking quietly to him, so I turn to the other kids. It's okay, y'all. Try to rest a little longer. It was just a false alarm. Everything's okay. I feel like a recording, the kind you get when you call a business and the kind that doesn't really say anything, but just keeps you holding on with promises of a real person, a grown-up, to solve your problem. But the longer we wait here, the more it starts to feel like help will never come. My reassurances to the kids sound fake, even to me. All right, we end it there on page 179.